I got a new radio, and I'm trying to put it in, and I thought there would be a wiring harness in it, but apparently the person who did it before didn't use a wiring harness. They just cut and spliced all the wires and did a whole bunch of crazy stuff with it.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to figure it out because I couldn't find a wiring diagram online that worked for this car. Like every one that I've done and I've hooked up the way it says, the radio doesn't come on. But I know the fuse isn't blown or anything like that.
Okay. So I'm sorry, this is a Saturn, correct?
Yes.
2004 Saturn Ion, correct?
Yes, it's a quad coupe.
It's a what?
It's a quad coupe. It has suicide doors.
Okay.
I make sure to tell people that because if you just look for a Saturn Ion,
yeah,
the radio's different in just the regular Saturn Ion than it is the quad coupe. Mine has suicide doors, and the radio's just
I'm showing a Saturn Ion 1, Saturn Ion 2, Saturn Ion 3.
I believe it'd be a 1.
Okay. All right. 2.2 liter four-cylinder engine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So does this vehicle did it come with a factory amplifier or not?
What would that be?
Well, the amplifier that just basically it adds more power to the subs, to your speakers. So
how would I tell her that I have that?
There might be extra wiring. Let me take a look here with amplifier, without amplifier. And there's going to be, it's like an amp. It's like another computer, if you will, but it's pretty thick.
I sent a picture.
Man, this thing looks like a mess. Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're telling me whoever did this before it was way worse than this. There was all these wires were taped together with electrical tape and just stuffed back in there. And then the radio wires that were hooked to it were all just it was a mess. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a mess. And that's the problem that I'm having.
Okay. Well, what I can do, we can do this one of two ways. Diagram up, and I'll tell you which wire is what according to my diagram. How's that sound?
That works.
Okay. All right. Let me give me a second here. It's loading.
The right wires, because that's the main problem has been I've talked to a few family members that do this, and they're like, oh, you should have black wires, 2 red wires, and which I do have 2 red wires, but I have 2 orange wires, 2 yellow wires, and 2 black and white wires. I don't have just 2 plain black wires and 2 plain white wires.
So your two orange wires, those are going to come from your radio BAT1 fuse, BATT, in the body control module. Those should have power on them at all times. Your yellow wire comes from your radio accessory fuse in the body control module, and that'll have power with the key turned on. And then you got 2 black wires with white stripes. Do you have those? A pink wire. Do you have a pink wire?
I do have a pink wire.
My diagram shows it goes from the radio to your amplifier. So I'm assuming if you have an amplifier, that's obviously where it's going to go. If you don't have an amplifier, maybe it might not connect to anything. The wire might be there and it might just stop somewhere in the harness if you don't have a factory amplifier.
Okay, yeah, this doesn't have the casing peeled back on it, so I assume that one wasn't connected.
Okay, all right. And then do you have a dark green wire?
Yes.
All right.
I have 2.
Okay, so one of them goes to your data link connector, and it's basically a communication line. I wouldn't worry about that one. And I'm not showing another dark green wire it's just a D/GN. I think that's a dark green wire. digital radio receiver. There's another. I'm showing another dark green. Basically it's a communication wire. I would, for the time being. Are you installing a factory radio back in it, or are you installing another aftermarket radio?
No, I'm installing a aftermarket radio in it. And mainly what I'm needing is these wires. Like I've done all like the figuring out which wire is which, but when you hook them up, it still does nothing. Like so like let's see. In my hands for this. Whenever you connect the battery wire, which on my radio is yellow, and then you connect your ground wire and you connect your ACC wire, your red wire, still nothing happens.
Like, what do you mean nothing happens? Are you saying it doesn't power up?
Yeah, like it doesn't turn on at all.
Okay, yeah, so we need to focus on the powers and the grounds. All right, I'm glad you told me that. Okay. So with the key in the on position, the yellow wire needs to have battery voltage, like we talked about, and then the two orange wires need to have battery voltage. Do those three have power? They have 12 volts with the key on?
They should. I have no way to. Is there a way that I could test that? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. You need a test light or a voltmeter.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't have either of those, but the radio worked before I took it out. So
yeah, I gotcha. Well, here's the thing. You're right, and I hear you loud and clear. You can't measure voltage with your eyeball, so you need a voltmeter. Okay. Now, if it was working beforehand, that does suggest that there is power there, right? And if there is power, but the new radio that you're installing isn't powering up, then we could have a bad radio. But I wouldn't condemn that radio until you actually verify that there is power at that yellow wire and the two orange wires that we talked about. And again, you're going to have a voltmeter to do that.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, the black wire with white stripe, those two wires should be a good ground at all times.
Okay. And after I figure out that if those wires have power, let's just say that they do, let's move on from there.
Well, if they have power and there's ground, the grounds are good, the powers are good, but the radio that you're installing isn't powering up. You got a bad radio.
Okay.
Yeah, so wherever you got it, I would return it. It's bad.
I got it from Walmart. So
they'll take it back.
I'm a little. I've spent like. Because this Saturn, I mean, nobody has parts for it, and I bought two wiring harness kits, and they don't work for this car. And then whenever I bought the last wiring harness kit, the person only gave me half of it.
Oh, really?
Not thinking that I didn't need the other part of it, and I tried to explain to him, like there's no wiring harness in the car whatsoever. Like I'm having to wire it to the wiring harness and then I'm having to do all of that.
Oh, I gotcha.
I want to do it with the wiring harness, which is not what I don't want to spend any more money, so I prefer not to have to do it with the wiring harness.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I mean, I have installed aftermarket radios before. I wouldn't say that I specialize in aftermarket radios, but I can certainly send you a factory wiring diagram. I thought they made kits where you can simply just plug these connectors into the factory harness, and it makes your job super easy. But if either you can't find one or that connector has been removed, then you're manually going to have to put this, manually connect the wires.
Together. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's what somebody did. Whoever did this before, they cut and spliced the harness that was in it before. And so all you have is just bare wires, which is what I was going to have to hook up to the new, rewire a new harness in here.
Yep.
Where I could just plug it in.
Yep.
Which that's been the main problem of trying to find that part. I have the part where you plug it, where you wire it to my radio and then you just plug it in, but the part where you wire the factory wires to it, that's the part that I can't find.
I gotcha.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. You bet. You're welcome. Good luck. Okay.
Okay, thank you. You have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks a lot. You too.